Hey YouTube, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. You know, I've been away from my place, High Prairie Acres, for a few weeks now, and our garden has changed, and so I was thinking, hey, I'll shoot like a summer garden video. You know, here's what the garden looks like at High Prairie Acres, you know, in the summer. And then I started thinking, oh man, I gotta go mow and weed and, you know, make everything look really tidy for the video. And I got to thinking, you know what, why don't I just show you guys what the garden looks like now? Because sometimes when a video is shot, and I understand professional, you know, production values and things like that, you want everything to look really sharp, but sometimes I think that puts people off, and you think that, wow, you know, I can't do that, I can't do something as nice as that. And when I show you, you know, how you can do things, and it's a little bit messy at my place, but it still produces, maybe that'll give you some encouragement. The garden I'm about to show you is, it's smaller than the average backyard in suburbia, if you will. And so you could turn your backyard in suburbia into a garden like what we have. And so I guess I'm just going to take you around and show you. It's going to be a little messy, but it's real. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And if I can do it, you can do it, because I'm certainly no master gardener. All right, so let's look at this first. Right here, I don't know if you remember in my other video, we grew a bunch of sunflowers. This side of the house right here gets afternoon sun, and it just massively bakes the house. And so what we did is we grew these sunflowers, and some of them are pretty tall. And so that when the sun comes up over here, it starts creating this shade tunnel all along this side of the house here. And it really makes a difference. When we're sitting down there on the patio, the wind that blows through here is significantly cooler than the wind that's blowing out across the yard and stuff out here where it's hot. And so we built this for shade. And the other thing we're going to do with it is when it's time, when they start dying, but before they've died, when they're green turning to brown, we're going to cut them down and feed them to our goats. I call this patch right here the jungle because I'm just growing it for shade and eventually for goat food. I built this box out of railroad ties, put very marginal soil in it. It's mostly clay soil that we dug out when we put in the storm shelter. And so that's what that is. And I just water it every now and then, and you can see that these are going all the way up to the gutters, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. It creates this nice shady cool spot in front of the house. Alright, so there's my big dog. I told my wife, hey, we're not watering these sunflowers. These sunflowers just grew by themselves. We actually picked them to keep them from taking over the yard. And we were growing these for forage. That's our little fireplace. It's been over 100 degrees every day for like the last 4 weeks here. And the soil, let's see if you can see it here. Man, the grass is just dead and crunchy. I mean, it's just horrible. And so everything's dying that we're not watering, and I don't want to have a huge water bill, so I've stopped watering these, and we're going to cut those down probably today and feed them to the goats. Alright, so what do we got here? That's our Swiss chard. We eat that in salad, and there's some beets in there I can see. This is kind of gone. We had peas here early, and it's a mess right now. That's some cucumbers growing right there, coming up the fence. I think that's more cucumbers right there. That's definitely cucumbers that I'm trying to train to go up this ladder right here. In here's our carrot bed, and I haven't checked on them yet, so I don't know how they're doing. This, if you remember, is lamb's quarter. We eat that, and it looks like somebody else has been eating that too, probably a rabbit. Over here I have some pole beans growing up. Now you'll notice that we're mulching with hay. My wife went out and bought straw. I guess my wife went out and bought a bunch of straw, because if we don't keep straw or some kind of mulch on all around our plants, it just dries out. I'll show you some cracking here in a minute. I'll show you some good cracks in the ground. So we do that, and that works well. I got that tip from Marjorie Wildcraft. She has a really good video, backyard food production. I recommend you guys buy it. I already recommended you guys buy it, and I recommend it to you again. I'm not getting paid for that. I just think it's a great video. These are our pepper plants. They really like the hot weather, and so we're kind of excited about getting some peppers. And then I have more over here. Now you see we have sunflowers kind of growing intermittently everywhere. We let them grow. We chop them down when they start getting in the way, and we feed them to the goats. And they really like them. So our peppers aren't ready to pop yet, but soon, I hope. Okay. Over here we have some brassicas, and I'm not really sure what kind they are. My wife planted them, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels, something like that. These don't do well in the heat, and like I said, it's been over 100 degrees for a couple weeks, and yet because of the shade of these sunflowers and all the mulching that we're doing, they're doing okay. I've got more over there. I'm not going to walk over there right now. Let's go this way. This right here was our mustard bed, mustard seeds. You guys remember let's see if I can get this in my camera. If you remember, Yeshua saying if you had faith as a grain of mustard seed, you could tell that mountain over there to remove to the sea, and it would. Look how small those puppies are. Can you see those? They're just little black mustard seeds. If you had faith that big, and we think we have faith, right? Anyway, we eat the mustard greens in salad, but you can see they're all gone now. I'm probably going to take some of these seeds and plant them at our alternate location because they just go crazy. All right, let's come over here. This is a mustard green right there that's coming up on its own, and we're going to let it grow. Normally I was keeping them all confined to this bed so they wouldn't take over the garden, but that's really the only one we have going right now, so I'm going to let it live. This is our dill. It's shot, you can tell, it's done. That's my dog, probably barking at me. Alright, let's see here. These are onions, one of our patches of onions. My wife told me we got like 10 pounds of onions this year, and this is kind of what's left, and they need to be picked. Now you'll see right here where my kitty is, we mulch this bed here with bark, and bark and mulch that we got at the county transfer station, the county dump, and then we're mulching the beds with straw. I saw Marjorie Wildcraft's video, Backyard Food Production, before I saw, man, is his name Paul Gauchi? Before I saw his video, Back to Eden Gardening. That's some beans. And we really like that method too, and I'll show you a Back to Eden garden up top. But basically, you want to keep your paths mulched in a different substance than you have your beds mulched, just so you can tell what's what, especially when you're starting out. This is one of our tomato patches. Now this is an interesting thing. This is a bed that we've improved for about 6 years, amended the soil, put compost in it and stuff like that. And hey, yeah, we're growing tomatoes. And the fence is to keep the chickens out, because we free range our chickens and they'll come in here and, where's that tomato? I can't find it in the viewfinder. There we go. They'll come in here and just decimate our fruit and stuff. But this is good soil in our backyard, if you will. Wait till I show you our Back to Eden garden and how those tomatoes are doing. So this is tomatoes. And then this right here is beans, and I made a little bean teepee. It's pole beans, and I just put some bamboo sticks and we saved, these are old sunflower stalks. When they die, we save them and use them for stuff like this. And we just made a little teepee. But so the beans are crawling up it, and you can tell something's getting them, but I think we're going to get some beans out of them. And then those are bush beans. And again, you can see how we pretty heavy mulched it. If we don't do that, it'll just dry and die. This is our herb bed, and that's dill, and I don't know, you'd have to ask my wife, but it's all drying out. We water it. There's some sage right there. We water it and stuff, but the soil's just not that good. Here's another tomato bed that we have, and these are doing pretty good, these tomatoes. And again, guys, I don't know anything about gardening. I'm just out here trying to do it, and every year I learn a little bit more. When I was at the, that's bush beans, and there's some more bush beans. Let's see, maybe I can let you see me. When I was at the Preparedness Expo in Arlington, Texas, they were selling all kinds of non-hybrid Yeah, non-hybrid seeds, the kind that'll breed true in cans and sealed. You know, they're saying, hey, these are good for 25 years, 100 years, 10 years, whatever. And you can go plant your own survival garden. Guys, I've been planting gardens for a long time, and again, you know, I am certainly no garden expert. It has taken, my learning curve has gone up. It's taken me a while to learn what I'm doing, and so I encourage you, as I always do, get out there and start doing it. Just do it yourself. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be beautiful. My garden is not beautiful, and man, it is producing some chow for my family. And so please get out there and start gardening. This, like I said, is about as big as the average suburban backyard. And if I can do it, you can do it. This right here is how I set up my compost bins. I just use pallets, and you know, that's the old stuff, newer stuff, and this is waiting for it to turn another bin into it. And quite frankly, it's really gone down low, and we've been feeding a lot of our what would normally be compost to the chickens and the goats, so we're not getting as much as we should. Here's more beans. Here's my cucumbers. I just had this idea to build this little ladder here thing for them to crawl up on, and they're doing okay. You have to train them a little bit yourself. These are blueberry plants right here, and they're not doing great. I don't know, you know, I know they need acidic soil, and this probably isn't. But you know what? We're growing blueberry plants. I wouldn't say we're growing blueberries. Now, this is what happens when you have free-range chickens. My bed is actually this way here, and all this was on the bed, and the chickens came in here and kind of shucked it all out. These are those walking onions, or Jerusalem onions. We're also going to transplant these down to our alternate location. They just self-propagate. All right, so hey, that's our garden. You know, basically in a nutshell, that's the main part of the garden. And again, you guys can do this, you know, just get out there and start planting. Wouldn't you rather have vegetables growing in your backyard than grass that you have to mow and keep up with the Joneses on your weed control and stuff? Let's go over here. I could cut this, but I'm not. I planted, here, I'll look at you. I tried to plant the Three Sisters, which the American Indians, the natives, used to do, and they'd build a mound, and they'd plant corn in it, and they'd plant squash around the outside of the mound, and then when that all started popping up, they'd plant pole beans that would grow up the corn stalks, and they're all mutually supportive, and you know, yada yada yada. And so I tried to do that, and I built all these mounds, and I built them where my horse used to crap all the time. They're kind of like rabbits. They go in the same place all the time. So we had a big pile of old horse poop, and we worked the soil. We fenced it off for a year so that he wouldn't go in there. And then we worked the soil. I made these mounds, and I planted my Three Sisters garden. Well, I can grow some squash, but the beans, I think the chickens ate them, and the corn didn't do so good. But let me show you that. Here we go. That's going to go down inside the well that I'm digging. Alright, this is our squash plants, and they did well, and I've got squashes in there when I was watering earlier. Let's see if we can get that one. The squash is doing pretty good. Now, I do not know why that goat is in here. I guess my wife has him tied up so he can't reach the squash plants. I hope that's true. They like weeds. But there's my corn, poor corn, sad corn. There's another corn that fell over. Now I had planted in here about, I don't know, 18 pieces of corn. This is all that's left. But I am growing squash down here. I'm growing a lot. Here, let's see. Show you some. There's some. And there's some. And there's some. It all needs to be picked. And I'll be doing that after I shoot the video. So, I'm going to take you up top and show you our back to Eden garden, but I'm going to cut the film, and I'll be back with you in a second. Alright, so here's our patch of corn. That's the only patch we have that lived. Yeah, we're going to get some corn out of this puppy. Hey, but you know what? We're planting corn, and it will grow. My wife planted this again in another old horse zone, if you will. And we fenced it off with this wire so the horse thinks it's electric fence. Actually, our electric fence is not turned on. Just don't tell the horse that. Okay. This is what I was talking about, how the ground is just cracking. See that? That's what the ground's doing here. And if we hadn't mulched, things would be terrible. This is our Back to Eden garden, and again, it's not pretty, guys. You know, I didn't dress it up for you. I'm showing you how it is, but I'm telling you, it's producing a prodigious amount of food. And if you have not seen Back to Eden Garden, the movie, if you Google Back to Eden and Garden, you'll find it. You can get it free on the internet, or you can slip the guy who made it 15 bucks and they'll send you a DVD. I did that after I watched it for free. I said, man, this is a good video. And basically, I'm oversimplifying it. You need to see the video, but it's newspaper and mulch, and that's what we did up here on lawn. And let me just show you. Here's what the lawn looks like now. It's just dead. Where's my foot? Dead stuff. And yet, where our garden is, we've got tomatoes growing to beat the band. My wife has canned many quarts of tomatoes already, and here, let's see if we can get my... I love these little guys right here. They taste like candy. We've got some Romans going on in there, and those are good. If I wasn't making a film, I'd eat some more. So this is kind of like a tomato bed Back to Eden garden on this side, and then in the back row we've got cabbages and some kind of plant that looks like onions that my wife says we can eat the roots. I'm not even sure what that is. There's some more aromas that just look really nice. And then these are my pumpkins that are doing terribly. We've mulched the heck out of them with straw. And I mean, at least they're still alive. But, you know, they haven't produced any flowers or anything yet. But man, just look at the state of my pasture. And this is our pasture. This looks like we live in Texas, not Kansas. I mean, it's just really, really dry. And yet our garden is doing really, really good. Now, I just watered it, I don't know, about an hour ago. We are watering it a little bit, but not nearly what we would have to water to... We couldn't have our plants look like this if I had planted them out there, just in the open, with no mulch. And so there's some squash and some cabbages, and you can see our tomatoes from the back side. So, that's my son's car. It's an RX-7. If you want to buy it, he'll sell it to you. Comes with an engine, but the engine's not in it. Okay, let me show you one more thing. I transplanted these sunflowers along our fence, and I'm trying to get them to grow up like the ones you see in our front yard. I planted them all at the same time, and you can see what a difference of soil condition and stuff like that makes. I mean, these guys are only, you know, that big. You know, there's my hand. But since we mulched them, which was only about a couple days ago, they've already started doing better. I wasn't mulching them, but you can see the ground they're in. It's just terrible. Just terrible. But what I want to do is have a screen of sunflowers, and then they'll make the heads, and the heads will fall down and make seeds, and you know, then we'll keep going from there, and I won't have to transplant them next year or something like that. One more stop to the orchard and we'll be done. There's our pear tree. Actually, this was a tree that a goat chewed off at the bottom one time, and I thought it was dead, and this thing sprouted up. We decided to take care of it, and it has 2 pears on it. So we're letting it grow, see what happens. Here's our other pear tree right here, and you can tell it's looking dry. I think I'm going to have to start putting some significant water on this puppy. And you know, that's a lot of water. That's not like watering a tomato plant. But we've mulched around these beds. The chickens come out here and scratch it all up. I have more mulch right here that I'm going to spread out on the beds, and then we're going to have to go get another load. This is a trick I learned from Marjorie Wildcraft, and it's a great trick. She used square bins. My wife found this. Somebody had thrown it away, and so she just grabbed it off the side of the road because we're scavengers. And you fill it up with water like this, and then your ducks come, and your ducks swim in it and play in it and mess around in it. And eventually, this is going to turn, in a couple days in our case, into brown, nasty water. Now, she did it with geese. We do it with ducks. And once that's brown, nasty water, we dump it up and we pour it all over this tree right around the roots, and it's just nutrient-rich water. And then we'll move the tub over to here, and then we'll do it with this tree, which I think this is a cherry tree. These are apple trees. This one didn't produce anything this year, but these two are starting to look really good. You can see all the apples on this guy. They're almost ready. And then this guy has always bared. Now these are dwarf apple trees. Here, I'll let you look at me. These are dwarf apple trees. We planted these back in 2004, and it's now 2012, summer of 2012, and so that's 8 years. Now they started producing the first year, but not this prodigiously. For about the last 2 years, they've just been going gangbusters. So there's a planting thing for you as far as planting trees. Our big pear tree that I showed you over there, here I can show it to you again too. There's our apple tree. Our pear tree, this is really the first year that it's had a lot of pears on it. And we planted that at the same time. Now that's the full-size pear tree, and so I think it takes them a little bit longer to get going. What happened here? Let's go that way. Hello. And so, hey, what's this video about? It's not about me showing off and saying, hey, look at me, I got a garden and an orchard, because, you know, for those of you who have good gardens and orchards, like my brothers and sisters at Straightway, they're probably going, man, Pastor Joe, you guys need to do some work on your garden. Yeah, I know. We've got a lot of work to do in a lot of different areas. But here's the deal. If I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I am certainly no gardening guru. We're producing a lot of food for our family right here on just this little farmette, all by ourselves. You know, we're not in a community. I don't have other people, so my wife and I have to do everything, including our day jobs. And we can do it, so you can too. And I encourage y'all to get out there and do stuff. You know, get out there, and I don't care if you've just got to start planting spinach in a pot on your backyard for your winter garden. It's time to start doing that, by the way. We're starting to think about our winter garden now, fall garden. We want to put some garlic in, you know, so that it's ready next spring earlier. Please get out there and start producing some food. You know, yeah, stock up food, store food, but you need to start producing food. Time's coming when there won't be any grocery stores and there won't be an internet for you to order food from, and having yourself a can of seeds and a hoe in the back of the garage is not going to make you a gardener. You need to get started now, and you need to start practicing. And so, as always, I'm encouraging you to get out there and do, and hey, I'll see you out there.